I don't know where I belong. I got no place to call my home. All the people all around me just can't see the things that I can see. I'll find a friend, someone who'll help me understand that life won't always be this bad, and there's no reason to be sad because I'm free.
2, 3, 4.
What the fuck? Just my bloody luck. I'm drowning in a sea of fools, tortured by their stupid rules. I don't mind, I'll leave all that behind. I'll quit my job and quit my school and do just what I wanna do. I'm free. Yes, I'm free. Everywhere, people point and stare. A happy freak, they think it sucks. I don't fit inside their box. No 9 to 5, I just live my life. Forever playing with my toys, and not like other girls and boys. Girls and boys, I'm not like other girls and boys. Girls and boys, 'cause I'm free, yeah, I'm free. Exactly where I wanna be, yeah, I'm free. So please don't bother me. I wish I could find the words to let you know that it's okay. You don't belong inside the herd. Forever children, we will play. We will play. Forever children, we will play. We will play.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Everyday Magic. Hope you guys are having a great Sunday. How are you ladies doing?
Great.
I've chilled all day. It's been a wonderful day.
You've chilled all day, huh?
I did. I slept in. I did a little video journaling this afternoon. I talked to my kid. It's been a good day.
Video journaling.
It's my favorite thing to do. It's like self-therapy.
It's a good process to do. I think I think I do it myself. Actually, I just don't realize I'm actually doing the therapy part.
Yeah, I found that it's just, I love doing it. I started to get myself comfortable just like talking to no one, so that when I did lives on Facebook and things like that, I felt comfortable because you're kind of talking. I mean, though people are watching, you're kind of talking to yourself. But I found it's just super good therapy for me. I have huge breakthroughs when I'm doing it. Today I did some forgiveness in the videos. Eventually I would like them to be turned into a book.
Well, that's a cool idea.
Yeah, because they're like about all my shit.
It's amazing how intimidating a little bitty little camera on a phone can be. It's amazing how intimidating a microphone could be. I can remember when I first started doing podcasts, I was so scared to death of the microphone, just because I didn't know what to say. I get on there and I just stumble over my words. I didn't know how to. I mean, it was just a hot mess. But it is good therapy though, because the more you do it, the more comfortable you become, and you start realizing things about yourself that you really didn't know you was capable of doing.
Yeah, and I just found that, like, as I'm talking it out, because I'm ADHD really bad, and that I can't write, like, to journal unless I have a topic and I'm specifically writing about something. To journal about my personal stuff and write it down, I have 50 thoughts before I can get one thought on paper. And so when I'm talking and I'm doing the video journal, I can just, as I'm thinking it, it just comes out of my mouth, and then it allows me to work stuff out. So that when we were talking about my boyfriend that passed away and stuff, um, right before that, I had done a video journal about that and just had this breakthrough of it's okay to let someone else love me that way without fully healing from that, right? And so, it helps me. I get to be my own coach.
How about you, Luna? How was your day?
My day was good. I went swimming in the pool and spent some time in the sun,
Ah,
getting my
got some
vitamin D.
got
Yeah.
some water and some sun.
Yeah.
Love
It
it.
was a cloudy day here, but it wasn't like in the 90s, so that's a plus for me. But I didn't go out and do anything. I just kind of chilled today.
Yeah. That's what
Nice.
Sundays are for. Chilling.
Sundays you'd think would be a fun day, but no, it's Sunday's a lazy day.
Yeah.
It's a recharge day,
It is. It really is.
right?
Yeah.
It's to recharge and get ready for the week to come.
We've had a long weekend, regardless, from the beginning anyway. Ever since Friday, we've been going nonstop here at Interdemon Media between the live shows and the radio stuff. It's just like 3 shows a day for all weekend long. It's like, okay, by the time you get
It
to this,
keeps everyone out of trouble.
Right?
some
We're all
of us,
tuning in to listen wherever we're
Yeah.
at.
some of us.
Yeah.
Let's say
I
hello.
think we're all
everybody.
in and out.
Hello, Obsessed with Tea. How are you doing this evening? Thanks for tuning in with a smiley face. It's always good to have somebody happy. Mary Beth, how are you doing this evening? May
Oh, Mary
Bug,
Beth in
Mia,
the house.
Oh, that's my daughter, Mia Bug.
Mia Bug. Hello, Mia Bug. Everybody's saying hello to each other. Hope you guys are having a good. I hope you guys all had a good weekend. Just tuning in, watching now, watching later. Hope you guys had a good week and a good weekend.
Yeah.
It's been a busy week. Like I said, for me, I've not really. I mean, it's always busy. I thought I'd reduce my schedule a bit during the summer to try to give myself free time, but it really the free time goes by really quick.
I think part of that is because we're always thinking about the next thing that we have to do. Being present and taking the time to not feel guilty about the time that we take, right? So like when we're just not doing anything and we're recharging, we think to ourselves, oh my gosh, what could I be doing? Oh wait, later I have to do this, or that sort of thing.
That's my Mondays. Mondays and Tuesdays. It's Mondays is supposed to be like my I'm not doing anything. Like I'm not doing anything work related as far as entertainment media, but I spend that whole day thinking about what I need to do coming Tuesday, and I got to start planning out the artwork for the shows and getting the actual events set up for the shows. So it's like it's not even really a day off.
Right.
Shame on Sid.
Well, I mean,
There
now
are
that you
days
talk
where
about it,
I
you can be a little
don't
more
want to talk
self-aware.
about anything serious. I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine.
No, they're just days I just don't want to do or think about anything serious. Just let me be. Let's have, good positive thoughts. Because throughout the week I just get overwhelmed with stuff. And I need that time to clear my mind and just disconnect. Yeah.
Not you, stop.
That's what your dad must be really, really cool if he's got a Captain America shirt just like this.
I used to have a Captain America shirt very similar to that. I think my kid stole it.
I've had this one for a couple years. It's getting to work. It's working itself to being faded. I'm a big, huge Marvel fan, though. I've said that millions of times. I got Marvel shirts scattered everywhere.
Make me some Marvel movies.
I even got like 8x10 glossies of all the Marvel characters.
Nice.
I'm bad.
You're full of much information about Marvel stuff.
That's because I'm a nerd.
I love it because you get so excited about it.
You know what though? I have to say that I value people like you because I am not like that. Like I don't have anything. I don't have any movie or I really love the Harry Potter movies. I think they're great. But I'm not a fanatic about any one thing. Like
I've got
I'm
Harry
nerdy
Potter
on
wands.
so many levels. People don't think I am, but I'm nerdy on so many levels.
I got Harry Potter diecast.
What?
Mm-hmm. It's true. Right here.
Oh,
You love
he's
what?
got it right there. Nice.
I love it. I love
Now,
it.
did you paint them or did they come that way?
Oh, I bought them that way.
I know people that paint them.
I'm not
No.
that good. Mm-mm.
They're
I'd be
funny.
I'm artsy and crafty, but as
shaking.
soon as I start thinking about the detail it would take to put the paint onto this little die cast, I'll be like you just did, Luna. I'll be shaking like I got Alzheimer's or something.
I
Yeah.
knew people who played, what is it, Warcraft? So I don't know what it was. It's or is, but they like build whole like lands and paint all the figurines, and I don't know, someone out there knows what it's called. I know people who were like really into that, where they painted, like they would buy the the casts and sit down, and every single detail of these things were painted. And I knew people who made them and then sold them to people who played the game as well. It's not World of Warcraft because that's online, but it's
Like
something.
Warhammer or something like that. You can play.
Warhammer, that's it. That's it. Warhammer. Yeah.
I'm a nerd. I'm sorry.
I love it. I love it.
Video games, board games, comic books, music. Them are my favorite things in life.
See, I don't have any of that stuff. What about you, Luna?
Yeah. What about you, Luna?
Do I have any obsessions?
Besides
I
Ina?
have.
Right?
She's my main obsession. I love her so much. Yeah. I am changing all of the time, so I don't really have an obsession, I guess. I really like the Lord of the Rings movies. I do love the Marvel movies, like Game
Is
of
there anything
Thrones,
you
things
collect?
like that.
Like, do you have anything that you know, like I don't, you know.
I collect stones and crystals and any nature, like really anything in nature, like sticks and mushrooms and all sorts of stuff. I collect everything, I suppose. But I love books. I'm obsessed. There it is.
Books?
I'm obsessed about books. I love to read. I have so many, and I like to read them over and over again. So
I love it.
Yeah.
You barely get me to read them one time through. I'm audiobooking it.
Yeah. Audiobooks are cool,
If
but I
could
like to feel the
audio
pages
and read
and
it. Oh,
yeah.
if I could have someone read it to me while I'm looking at the pages, I would be in heaven.
I'm an audiobook.
That would be my dream, is to just sit back and then just have someone read it to me while I follow along in the book. That would be my thing.
Obsessed with T says, I love crystals. I think everybody loves crystals.
Yeah.
I have a whole, I have like an altar in my room. It's 2 shelves on a bookshelf, and it's full of crystals. And then I have my crystals all around my office and selenite everywhere and all the things. I might have a small obsession.
I got everything. I think I got about 4 altars in my house. As a matter of fact, to be fair, I think I've turned my house completely into like an altar.
An altar, yeah.
Yeah.
There is magical stuff like everywhere, hanging up, sitting somewhere throughout my house, everywhere. There's not a spot that I don't think that I've got. No, I don't have something that's not magical. I'm right here next
It's
to me.
your sanctuary.
Pendulum.
Yeah.
Amethyst pendulum right here next to me. Everywhere I turn, there's something. I got something magical around me all the time.
I love it. I am magical, so it doesn't matter where I'm at.
Mary Beth says books are a good way to fall asleep.
Yeah.
The only time that I read books, I'm gonna shamelessly say this, is when I get put in jail when I was younger. That's the only time I actually sat down and read a book. Audiobooks.
Currently I'm reading some books about Native American culture and how they do. The first one was about the white buffalo calf peace pipes and how they started and the story behind them. And it's a 3-book series, so I'm really excited. But I'm usually, if I'm reading something, either it's a really trashy romance novel, which I love a good Danielle Steele or Nora Roberts once in a while. And I know they're my mindless, like just not think about anything books. But usually if I'm reading something, it's something spiritual or to learn something.
I'm just more of a hands-on guy. I could do the visuals. I can watch somebody teach it and I can absorb it and then I can do it. But me just actually sitting there and reading the book, it just doesn't work for me. I got to get my hands dirty.
Mm.
Everything's got to be hands on for me. I think Jace may have himself a competition when it comes to tea drinking. Obsessed with tea, says, but I think my obsession would be tea. Surprising.
Right.
So like last week we had a paranormal guest on, Christina from East Coast Paranormal and Get Haunted. The week before that we started touching base a little bit about I don't know, I call them 6 steps of shadow magic, but it can grow through the conversation. But we talked about accepting, right? We all had a conversation about accepting certain things in our life. So I thought we might this week build on that a little bit and talk a little bit about how we individuals let things go, or lack of letting things go, and how that could stop us from spiritual growth. And not even really spiritual growth, but just growth as a human being, to better yourself, not just being magical or spiritual, but just trying to be a better you outside of all the labels of spirituality, just being a better you. And I thought, let's have a candid conversation about that. When let's take, for instance, Heather or Luna, whoever wants to speak up, when you guys come up against things that are challenging you, or you're having a hard time saying, okay, I need to end this part of my chapter of my life, what were some of the ways that you guys dealt with that, a part of letting that past go to start creating a better future for yourselves?
Go ahead, Luna.
Well, thanks.
I have to point the other way. I know, it's always the opposite.
Yeah. Go ahead. It's a pretty simple process I go through. Is you do have to look in, well, I do have to look in my past with things, and I tend to tell myself a positive story. I try to see the lessons in these things that I'm struggling with, and I accept them for what they are. I see if I can change it, and if I can't, I let go of trying to control that situation that doesn't exist anymore. And I breathe, and it's a constant giving and taking back, and giving and taking back. And I have to remind myself, I'm not there anymore. It's gone. It's done with. All I can do now is my best, and try to let it go that way. It's not easy, but it's simple at the same time. But yeah, that's what I do. And I think the breathing is a big part for me, because human beings tend to get into their heads and go really deep and overthink things. And I think the best thing to do is just acknowledge it for what it is, whatever situation it is, just acknowledge it for what it is and was, and say thank you, and see where, like I said, where the lessons are and the growth, and just, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just let it go. Let it flow.
Let it go. Yeah.
That's the thing. That's what we're going to do for the night. Every time we say let it go, we're all just going to do this. Let it go. What about you, Heather? Well, how do you cope with? How do you deal with letting go of certain things?
This is how I get down. This is what I teach people to do, actually. For a long time, I held it inside and I carried it with me, and it made me extremely ill. I never let anything go. Now if something, I hate to use the word triggered, if something sets me off, I guess is a better way to put it, or there's an issue that I need to deal with, I go back to not only what does it make me feel like, but why am I feeling that way? And then I try to go back and say, where did that start? Like, what did that thought process, where in my life did that thought process start for me? And that way I can forgive the people that of where it started, and I can forgive myself for the things that have happened up until that point. And then I always do some sort of ritual. Like earlier, I work on my money block a lot. Most people have a block in their money story in some way, especially our generation, because we were told money doesn't grow on trees and, right, like, all those fun things that our parents used to say. And I can go back to like my grandparents and how they were with money and things that they did growing up that made me think money was really hard to obtain and you should covet it and do all these things with it. And then I forgave them for that because they didn't know any different. And then I forgave myself. And I just did this before we came on here, like a couple hours ago. And then I forgave myself for all of the times that I worried about money or I was, stressing about it or things like that. And then I disconnect energy from it. So then I do a ritual of disconnecting the energy to whatever it is that I'm going through and all the negative thoughts. And I send it back with love and light to whomever it involves, whatever situation it involves. And I call my energy back to myself. So I actually sever the energetic tie with it.
That's really cool. That's a cool way of dealing with it as well. For me, letting go, it could be very tricky, right? Because it depends on what the situation is or whatever it is that you're going through.
Right, absolutely.
Whether it's money or maybe it was just maybe personal trauma, whether from a childhood trauma, things that you've lived with your whole entire life. For me, for example, it was me. One of my traumas was as a child, as a young boy, I was molested by my dad's sister, and I carried that weight for 20 plus years. It happened for a few years, ongoing, consecutive for a few years in a row. And even when I said something to my parents, it was passed off as like, "Oh, you're a liar. She didn't do this or that." So I kept it in, blocked it out, filed it away in the back of my head, and I went years and years and years. But deep down and rooted, I never really dealt with the situation right until I was in my 20s. Yeah. And then when I came in my 20s, it's like it just came out of nowhere. Like everything that happened hit me all at once, and I kept this grief, anger towards women. I didn't respect women. I didn't respect being around them. To me, they was just another tool to fuel my ego. Maybe I don't know exactly for sure if that's the right word I should be using.
Yeah. No, it is.
I wanted them to feel the pain that I felt, the hurt that I felt every day of my life. So whoever I was with at that time, I wanted them, it didn't matter what female it was that was in my life, I wanted them to feel what I felt, what they did to me. Part of me having to deal with that was letting that go. Just, and sometimes it could be really hard, right? Especially if it's something really deep rooted like that, for instance, it's hard to let go of things.
Well, and you have to let it go several times. So here's the other thing is that it's not just a one time because it affects so many other parts of you. And so it will creep back in every once in a while of where, it might show up in other regards. One of my huge blocks that I still have to work on is I was told when I was younger that my opinion did not matter, that my voice did not matter. And I was a kid and what went on in the house was none of my damn business. Hey, it was no one else's business what went on in our house. And I didn't have an opinion of what was going on in the house because it didn't matter. So when I am trying to speak my opinion to someone or have my voice heard and I don't feel like I'm being heard, I shut down. I will actually just okay, I don't want to fight with you about this. I'm not going to argue about it. You're not hearing me. But I will actually just cry and shut down completely. And I still am working on that one because I think I'm good with it. And then it will come up again, and especially if it's a male.
Well, my part of my process of letting go, before I could let go of what happened to me, I had to relearn how to love myself again. I had to discover who I was again. How can I let something go of my past, but I didn't even know who the present was. So I had to relearn how to love myself. And once I started learning the process of loving myself again, I started learning how to let it go. You know what? It happened. I told my part of my process of letting go was I told myself, you know what, it happened. It happened. You can't change it. You can't confront her. She's passed away. So you have no choice but to find some sort of peace in your life so you don't keep putting up these walls to hinder you from personal growth.
It's
So
almost validating your own feelings.
so what I had to do is I had to let it all go by simply saying, all right, I'm going to take these bad things. I'm going to find a way to turn them into positive. By me doing that transition was part of my way of letting these things go. I was being gentle on myself. I've made lots of mistakes in my life, but we can all sit here. We've all made mistakes, right? We've all done something in our life that we're not
Yeah.
proud of. I don't care who you are. You've all done something, whether you want to admit it or not.
Oh
You
yeah.
know deep down inside that everybody has. So being kind to yourself and telling yourself, it's all right. I've made some mistakes in life, and I'm completely okay with that. Now, how do I grow from this? How can I
Yeah.
make things better for myself and the people around me?
That's a
I
lot
think
like
we're
what
so
Heather was saying, was that we need to first recognize what it is that we're upset about, because sometimes we are angry and go through things and don't quite know why, and it could be something that has happened in our past. So it's important to search that out, then you recognize it and you validate it, like Heather was saying. But people tend to seek validation by going to others. We become codependent on others to validate us and our pain. And
Well,
it's really important that we find validation within ourselves, and we cannot let go
absolutely,
until we do
absolutely.
that.
As
Yeah.
human beings, especially as human beings, as kids, let's say, for instance, we're trying to amend broken relationships with our family. Let's say that we've done a lot of, let's say for me, for instance, I've done a lot of bad things growing up that left a bad taste in my parents' mouth.
Mm.
I spent many years trying to prove to them that I was a better person. But the whole time that I was trying to prove to them that I was a better person, I didn't spend any time proving to myself that I was a better person. We
Well, and
spend
sometimes
too much
that's the
time
scariest
trying to
part.
validate, like you said, we spend too much time trying to validate what our worth is by other people's opinions when at the end of the day, the only thing that really has any worth is what you feel about yourself.
Yeah. And sometimes it's scary when you've lived a long time with the traumas and your past and things like that. Um, it's scary because you don't know who you are when you're not surviving or you're not in that state of mind. And so I think that holds so many people back because they're like, well, I don't know who I am without XYZ or, these things that I've been carrying around with so long because it's almost like they almost become a comfort, not a comfort,
It is.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
because it's your identity, right? You're a survivor. You survived all these times, but like, who are you when you're just living and you love yourself? I think that's the scariest part,
That
but
That's
is.
it is
called,
also the
sorry,
most beautiful part because you get to be whoever you want to be on the other side. There
that's
is
called
no,
resistance, I think. I'm
yeah,
sorry. I always try to find a spot to jump in and I fail every
you're
time.
fine. You're fine.
But that's what we call resistance, right? So we're always in this state of resistance when we're trying to validate ourselves and recognize things and heal. Is this, I want to heal, but I don't want to change things because it's very familiar. When you're in that state of
Yeah,
resistance all the time, you're resisting a lot of stuff that's trying to flow in your life to help you and guide you and help you grow,
yeah.
right? Like, yeah,
Oh yeah, for sure. But
yeah,
it's that scariness of what happens on the other side, right? So now
yeah,
I've done all
yeah.
this healing. Who am I? The funny thing for me with that is that through my healing, I actually became the person that everyone else saw me as.
Ugh.
So when I talk to people that I've known for years and years, it is because we think people think a certain way about us. But like when I talk to people from when I was younger, they're like, I am not surprised that you do what you do for a living. You always gave the best advice. I'm not surprised you're a coach. I'm not, all of those things. And then I'm like, I am all the wonderful things that people have been telling me all these years, and that I just couldn't receive from them, right? And the more that I loved myself, and the more that I do love myself and I heal, the more I can receive all of the things that other people have, all the positive things that other people
Let me
have,
ask you guys this.
put on.
Let me ask you ladies this. We'll start with you, Luna, first. If you could give some quick, simple advice on letting go, what would you give people that are watching right now as far as tips on how to let things go from your perspective?
On how to let things go. You have to have faith that everything is happening just the way that it needs to happen. You have to relax and just know that it's gonna be okay. That sounds cliche, but it really does help you when you stop worrying, because you're spending all of this energy worrying about something that perhaps you cannot change. So it's not, excuse my language, give a fuck attitude, or I don't give a fuck attitude, rather, but more of a trust in yourself, that you are going to be doing your best, and that the struggles and everything that are going around you has a purpose. And I can't stop saying this, is just the trust and the faith in yourself. And I actually, there's been some things that I've been through in my life that I have that keeps coming up in my mind that has happened to me. And what I do sometimes is I write these things down on a piece of paper, and I put them in a plastic bag, fill it with ice, shove it down in there, and throw it in the freezer. So this is a part of me putting it somewhere and putting it in the freezer, and saying to myself, every time this thought comes up about what's on that paper, I tell myself, I recognize it and I thank it, but I say, you don't exist anymore. You're in the freezer, and it just helps. But I really think the number one thing for me and for some people would just be to just trust and know that you're right where you need to be.
Good advice. What about you, Heather?
Oh, give yourself the love and compassion that you show other people when they come to you with a problem. If you were hearing your story come out of someone else's mouth, and I tear up even thinking about this, how much love and compassion do you give to other people? So if you heard your story from someone else, your first reaction would be, oh my gosh, no, that is not okay. No, it was not okay to be treated that way. No, and you would give yourself that same love and compassion, and view it from that point of view. Because when you give yourself the love and compassion that you show other people, that's the biggest gift, and that's the best way to let go of the things that you've been carrying around for years and years.
Great advice. I know we can dive a lot deeper onto these topics of like letting go.
Yeah.
We can go on and on for an hour, but we all we have is an hour, so we have to kind of be detailed, but yet not so lengthy about it, I guess. And I hate it. I hate that fact about it, but I think it's really good sound advice what you ladies saying. Be kind to yourself, have a little bit of understanding, learning to love yourself, and let you like Luna said, you can't change what's already happened. So all you can do is just let it go and learn how to move on.
And we signed up for this. And sometimes, like, I truly believe that we come here for a reason, for our soul to grow and the lessons to learn. And we choose our parents and we choose the life that we live. That's a hard pill to swallow too, by the way, because sometimes you have to look at yourself and go, why the fuck did I pick this? Why the fuck would I pick this? But on the other side of that, there's so much comfort in, because I need to grow and learn these lessons. We picked why we came here. And so everything you're going through, you signed up for before you came here. Yeah. And sometimes you, like I said, there are many times where I go, why the fuck would I pick this? Why? Because if I hadn't gone through what what I've been through in my life, I wouldn't be able to sit here and do this with you guys. I wouldn't
you
be
signed
here
up.
right now.
You signed up for a class, and you don't want to fucking be there.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're like, man, I paid this money. I'm gonna
Yeah.
do it.
What's going on here? What's going on here? So let's take a brief break. We'll take a music. You know, everybody knows this Inner Demon Media. We got to throw in some music. So I thought tonight I'm going to throw in some pagan folk music. There is a new release tonight, this week, from a band called Healing, and the song,
buddy.
The song is called Anu Ana. And so you guys enjoy the video. We'll be right back, and when we come back, we'll be talking a little bit more about. We're going to be talking about how we move on after we let go. We'll be right back, everybody.
I'm so
Wow.
glad you played
I
that.
just said that
Wow.
before it came out. I was like, wow, that was intense.
Yeah.
That gave me goosebumps all over my entire body. I something about connecting with that kind of, for me, being a pagan is exactly what you see right there in that video. Nature, connecting with nature, connecting with Mother Earth. I mean, there's all different kinds of pagans and different beliefs, but for me, I think the core for me is just being out there in nature and absorbing that energy. And that video depicts that just perfectly. Life, the baby bringing life, being in nature. And then that end scene, them doing the ramming each other, man, that was intense.
That's literally how the book I just finished reading ended. That is crazy that it was the end of that video. That is literally how the book ended, was the main character running into a white buffalo.
Whew, that was just a powerful song.
Yeah.
I do a lot of meditating with that style of music. Actually, me and Luna had a little session earlier this week where, people use the meditation music, and it's the frequency, the new age style music. And I said I don't use that. I connect more when I hear more of the pagan folk style music, the heavy drums, the violins, the flutes, the nature feel, hearing the birds in the background.
Where it connects with your energy. Yeah.
You're connecting, you're being one with the universe and Mother Earth, and you're just feeling all that at one time. It took me 2 hours to actually, from that session, to actually settle my energy back down again.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yes.
It was a great time, and his wolf, he has wolf energy, and it was just, I closed my eyes and this just wolf was right in my face, and it wasn't an angry wolf. It was a very kind, loving, like, this is okay. Like, I've got you. It was beautiful. Yeah. No.
Ooh.
So let's go to the comments here a little bit, shall we, ladies? It appears that Naked Dan, too hard, burned deep into my mind. Maybe only way is to let it go is to let go. That is not right. That's technically not how you do it, your process correctly there, Dan. We all process things differently. And I know when trauma happens to certain people, we handle it differently. Some tend to forget it. Some don't want to forget it.
I think part of that is the forgiving yourself. That I mean, I've known a lot of vets, and I don't want to speak for them. So, Dan, I'm not speaking for you, but I find that they a lot of times have like survivor's guilt and or wish that they could have done something differently or things like that. And you
Things
cannot
happen in our lives.
That's the forgiving yourself, and acknowledging that no, you couldn't have changed it. It wasn't your fault. And those are hard things because our brain wires ourselves that way, by the way. Right. So when something traumatic happens to you, it literally rewires your whole entire brain and your nervous system, by the way. And so the more traumas you have, the more it affects you in that way.
I think it's important to, I'm sorry, Sid. It's important to accept that in these moments that we have had and had to make decisions, we did our best.
Yes.
With what we knew in that moment.
Yes.
You learn well, young Padawan.
Yeah, and it's so true, right?
Yeah. It's true. I mean, that's the whole step of the 6 steps, right? That's the very beginning one. You have to accept that things are the way that they are. You're not going to change them. You're not going to alter them. You can't go back in time. You can't jump in the future. All you have is what you have to deal with today. And accepting that, hey, this happened, that happened. It's okay. It's not necessarily your fault. It's just how things laid out for you at that moment in time in your life that you couldn't change, you couldn't alter, you couldn't do nothing about. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay to accept it, and it's okay to let it go.
Oh yes.
So the next
you can accept it, the things that happened, and you can't necessarily change the things that happened, but our minds are so powerful to where we can change our story, what we tell ourselves and what we've been through.
Yes.
And,
It's
you
true.
know,
A hard
yeah.
practice for me letting things go was looking at myself in the mirror every single day and saying, and this is the height of my drug addiction, me trying to get myself sober. I would walk into the bathroom every morning at my worst, look at myself in the mirror and say, you know what? I love you. I love you. No matter
Yeah.
what you've done in your life, no matter how fucked up you've made it, I still love you because I know that you can do better. I know that you have more to offer in your life. We can't let our past traumas affect who we are. They're not. That's not our destiny. Our destiny is you handed
Yes.
these things, you dealt with them, you've grown from them, and now you can help somebody from them.
Yes.
Yes.
You've
Heal
lived it.
people, heal people.
And that's part of moving on.
Which is a good time. Let's talk about that, Luna, for a
Yeah.
second. Now we're at the part of the show where we're going to talk about how, now that we let it go, now that we've started to let things go, how do we start to move on from these things? And Luna, I'm sure you was ready to say something about that. Tell us a little bit. What was some of your process of how you moved on from certain situations after you let it go? Did we lose her?
Is she there? Looks like she's
Yeah,
kind
I'm
of
here.
Okay, there we are.
I'm
There we
here.
are.
It had to catch up for a second. You were like, so part of moving on for me and what I try to do to help others to move on is it's very important to be in your moment. It's very important that you don't spend too much time in the past and you don't spend too much time in the future, because we may feel that we've wasted so much time in our past. You know, you get that feeling of, you know, I wish I could go back and change things and da 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 da, and I wasted so much of my time. If I would have just done this, you know, things would have come out better. But when we're doing that, we're missing out on this moment, the moment that matters. It's this one right now, and it's so important to stay right here and to be mindful of what you're thinking and what you're speaking, and give yourself the purpose in just that moment.
Oh, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah,
I do
I like
too.
That was
I like
good.
it.
That was really
Move
good. I
on.
don't know why.
Let it go
I
and move on.
Let it
Yeah.
go. Let it go. Let it flow.
Well, I mean, part of moving on, I think part of it too, I think now that you've accepted it, you've let it go, you've wasted enough time in of your life sitting on these things that's fucked you up for so many years.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So now that you've let it go, literally it's really simple. Move on. There's no more time to waste. You've wasted enough time. You've thought about it plenty of times throughout the years. No more sitting on it. Move on. Find things that replace what you've done but outside of the negative, try to find something that you can turn it around and make it positive with creative. And you're using your inner magic. You're using your own magic by creating this new reality. Sure,
It can be whatever you want it to be. Right.
People will tell you that, you know, that's kind of copying out because it's always going to be there, but no, it's not, because I've already dealt with it. I've already done what I had to do. I did my dirty work. So by you telling me what I've done in my past, and I'll look at you and say I don't care, don't be offended because I said I don't care, because you know what? I've already dealt with it. I'm thinking about what my future is going to be. I'm worried about what my today is going to be like.
Yeah, instead of
because you're gonna have people that are going to come back into your life and remind you of this thing you've let go of, and you've got to find a way to communicate to them, be gone.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Satan, be gone.
Other people's opinions of you are none of your business.
Right.
That's it.
Right. It doesn't matter what they think or how they
cares?
feel about you. It's how you feel about yourself.
It's like my kids say, it sounds like a you problem.
Right.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah,
right.
they
And
are.
you get to be whoever you want to be and however you decide to do that.
You are the master of your universe. I can't
You
stress
are.
that enough. It's not the universe out here that controls you. It's the universe inside here that you can control out there.
Yeah.
And people get it mixed up. They think it's the other way around. I need the universe. I need God. I need this. I need the higher source to come down and help me get through the situations.
You are the higher source.
You are the higher source. You are the
and
one.
No matter what you believe in, no matter what religion, no matter how you believe, we are all, if you're Christian, you believe that you are made in his image. Well, guess what? That means you're a part of him. And therefore, you are God inside of you, right? You are the God, you are the goddess, you are the universe, you are all the things. No matter how you believe that is true, right? Like every religion says basically has that in there in some way, right? We are all connected, and so
it's okay to look at somebody and say, hey, I remember back 20 years ago when you did such and such this at this time. I was like, you know what? It's all right to look at them and say, you know what? So
well, I used to be when someone would bring something up, and they always want to bring up something negative. They never bring up, like, remember that one time that you had my back and we went and did this, or like, it's always something negative. But here's something that really, my daughter brought this up to me one time because my daughter was molested and has had some issues, and our body, every cell in our body rejuvenates itself, right? And every 7 years, every single cell in our body is brand new. So the person you were 7 years ago is literally, you are not that person 7 years later. So if you're talking about something that happened 21 years ago, that was 3 me's ago. Thanks. This body is not, it has nothing, this body is not that same person physically, like legit, literally, I am not that same person anymore.
If you have a person that comes up to you and says, I was really hurt by your actions and are you willing to open up that part of you again and say, I was wrong. I am really legitimately sorry.
I think that's important, though. I think that's important for the other person's healing as well, because you're taking responsibility. It's not even opening it back up. It's taking responsibility that something that you did in the past hurt someone else.
With something that you've already done from the very beginning. You accepted it.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be that hard to say, all right, to the person that you hurt, hey, I'm sorry. Because you've already dealt with that process. So it's really, I apologize to a lot of people, and I never, ever once, when I apologize to people that I've hurt, that I feel bad about it or embarrassed, because it is what it is. Life is unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen from one day to the next. And especially with somebody like me, I never knew what I was going to do from one day to the next. And it was always comes out of bad, always bad.
You can't really it's like a scab, you're constantly healing. I hate using this scab thing because it's so gross, but it's the only thing I can really relate to with like the pain and healing and stuff. And it's just like, I've gone through life a lot of times where somebody comes along and I allow them to just like take it and rip it off just a little bit to where it bleeds and gushes. And I'm like, and then I got to start the whole process all over again.
Let's be very clear.
It's very exhausting.
To be clear, the process of this, you may not have some of the same people in your life again. Some of the people that was part of your life during this time, and then now here you are growing, they might not fit that grander scheme of your life anymore, and that's completely okay. And I say that with the wholehearted. It could be your parents, cousins, sisters, brothers. Sometimes they just don't fit into the grand scheme of things, and that's okay. You can still love them from afar and understand that you have to have boundaries as well, and they have to respect it.
That's something that I think happens a lot too when people start to heal and they start acknowledging things and forgiving themselves, is that they feel really lonely because people who were in your past are no longer in your past, but they're not meant to be, So I was one of those, like, I took ride or die to the degree of, it didn't matter what you did to me or what you said to me. I was still going to have your back regardless, because I'd known you X amount of years, or this and that. And I got to the point where I'm like, oh, no. And some people took themselves out of my life, and I was like, oh. And after they left, at first it was really hard. And then after they left, I was like, oh, I do not miss them. Like, I do not. Wow, my life is so much less drama when I don't have someone over here doing this or saying this or bringing stuff up or throwing this in my face or, this and that, that sort of thing. And then you find new, amazing people that are on the same wavelength of you and support you and help you to grow as an individual and are there for you. And then you find out that that's really what it's all about, right? Like that those people in the past.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you don't have love for them and you don't wish them the best. You don't have to hate those people to not allow them in your life anymore.
100% agree. I agree with you 100%.
Right? Because I think that's what people think, is that they have to hate that person and that it has to be this negative thing. It does not. I have several people in my life that we're just on a different wavelength now. And it does not mean that I love them any less. It just means that we just don't mesh well together anymore. And so therefore I don't really talk to them. And that's
the way
okay.
it is.
Yeah,
for sure. It's really fine.
Well, so what I like to do is, go ahead.
No.
Okay.
Cool.
So what I like to do is when someone has done me wrong, or they have done something that has really irritated me or pissed me off, so you know that they're going to keep popping up in your mind at some point. So the best thing to do is to look at them from a space of love. And you tuck them into your heart and you say, okay, you're far away from me and I necessarily don't want you in my life, but I'll let you in here. You can stay in here. So when you bring them up into your mind, you're having love for them and you're thinking positive thoughts of them instead of thinking negative thoughts and growing,
So good.
So
Congratulations to anybody who has made it through these first 3 steps, whether it's through what we've talked about or you're going through it on your own. We know as individuals in our own journeys how tough these first 3 steps can be: accepting, letting go, and learning how to move on. The 3 most difficult steps that you can actually take into any time, any point if you're trying to better yourself as a human being. It's not easy, and and sometimes it can be ugly and hard because there's realizations that you're going to discover about yourself that you just didn't, you really want to kept, you much rather have kept put back somewhere else. But to be fair, I mean, if it was that way for me, I mean, I kept things, through my journeys of doing these steps, I've discovered new things about myself that I didn't realize that's the way it was. So it's constant work to better yourself.
I mean, that's something I realized, like how, like I never thought of how destructive I was being to myself. Right. And all the numbing and all the things that I was doing. And then when I opened up to that, like, I was like, oh gosh, I have been so, it doesn't matter what anyone else has done to me. I've been the meanest to myself.
We are our worst enemies.
Yeah. And so, being able to forgive yourself for the way you treated yourself.
I mean,
that's probably the hardest one. It's like easy to forgive someone else, but to be able to forgive yourself in the role that you played in things, I think is probably the
our
hardest.
Minds are our worst enemies, or they could be our best friends.
Yeah.
Because we'll sit there and dwell on something for forever, or we can sit there and let things go easy and just be kind-hearted. Our minds can trap us into a place that sometimes we can't get out. And it's always, it's just funny how it works, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And then you just have to stop yourself, like Luna said, being in the moment and then stopping and saying, does this serve me for good or for bad? I've gotten pretty good at this. When I start negative self-talking, my brain will go, hey, bitch, that is not how we talk to ourselves. Right? Like, no. And it took work. This is not, I mean, it was, it's taken me a lot of time, but it's stopping yourself when you start getting into that narrative in your mind and saying, hey, bitch, you don't talk to other people like this. Why are you talking to yourself like this? Because if you wouldn't say it to someone else, you shouldn't say it to yourself.
Mm, preach it.
Yeah.
Preach
And
it.
so I literally will tell myself, bitch, shut the fuck up. Like, dude, we don't talk to ourselves like this anymore. What is the other side of that? And you then that's that self-awareness and that changing the perspective and your viewpoint. And then your viewpoint on everything else changes as well. Because then when someone comes at you nasty, my first thought when someone comes at me nasty now is, I wonder what they're going through that they feel they need to treat me that way.
Yeah. You can't personalize things.
No. And
Yeah.
then nothing matters at that, right? That's
Yeah.
the true I don't give a fuck attitude, right?
Yeah.
Is
Yep.
when you can, right? When you can say, I wonder what they're going through that they are that angry or that. And I say that out in public too. Are you having a really bad day? If someone's being super nasty, even if I don't know them, I'm go, I just want you to know that like you're amazing and I'm sorry that you're having such a bad day that you're reacting this way. And they go, oh, and then they reassess themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think, lady, this has been a great conversation tonight, ladies.
Thank you.
I'm glad that we touched a little bit of base on the first three. When we come back next week, we're going to we're going to talk a little bit about how to start living again, new ways to recreate your life and for the better. It's another interesting topic. I think it's going to be talking about that because there's so many different ways we stop ourselves from really truly living. And the only reason why I thought about doing these 6 steps in the first place because as practitioners of magic, I'm a firm believer that we are the magic. Okay, we all know that, but I also feel like if you're not really facing your true self head on and become and finding peace within yourself with all the good and the bad, they have to work continuously together. You can't let one you can't be the, and I'm going to say this, people probably be mad at me, but you can't be that light worker that always hides from their shadows and always looks at everything as shiny little bright stars and dandelions in the field, because that's not true. They had to get to a journey to get to where they're at. They just choose.
You got to
not
get
to
dirty.
You have to get dirty, and that's part of it. Yeah. So if you want to, I feel that if you're going to truly unlock your full potential, doing these steps is a good way to really become one with your true self, not the one you're trying to portray on social media as not all love or light, but being true to who you are truthfully. Don't hide from nothing. So we're going to learn. We're going to talk a little bit next week about learning how to live again and the ways that we can make ourselves better in our lives that we on an everyday basis.
Oh, I can't wait.
But outside of that, great show tonight, ladies. Thank you, everyone that's tuned in tonight and hung out with us, shared space with us.
Thank you for inviting, allowing us to be in this space with everyone watching, and you too. This is one of my favorite things throughout the week to do. I always look forward to Sunday evenings hanging out.
I got a whole list of favorite things that I like to do throughout the week. I just never get to them.
They're starting the living.
I'm funny. I'm being funny. I love doing what I do. This makes my heart full, knowing that I'm able to bring in different communities, music communities, pagan communities, spiritual community, and everybody's kind of living, coexisting all together in kind of like a happy place. So it's I love doing what I do. I do truthfully, wholeheartedly.
What I do is I love it. I love to be able to connect with people and give people readings and insights and then help them to deal with what they've been through, because I've been through a lot, and to be able to heal people.
But thank you everybody so much for tuning in tonight.
Thank you.
Well, this is episode 4. Done. Here we go to episode 5 next week. Let it go. It's gone. Be sure everybody to tune in. Start next week once again. We'll be back on Wednesday. You can check us out on innerdemonmedia.com/radio, or just check us out here at innerdemonmedia.com. Our radio shows, scheduled shows are all up there as well. You go to a radio station, we have shows all the time. Wednesdays, I'll be back with my friend Ina for another Delinquents Ball. And then next week, we got whole new shows lined up for you guys as well. Isolate Peaks will be on for Fridays, Talking with Demons. And then me and Bob back for another What the Hell, which that was a fun show to do this week. That was really fun.
That was really fun.
That was really fun. I mean, I was crying. I was laughing so hard.
Yeah,
and then
me too.
Another inspirational, pure-hearted, everyday magic for everyday people. Thank you guys once again. We love you. Thank you for all your support. We are going to end the show with Inner Demon Hall of Fame Band of the Month. This is Forever May Fall with their video. You guys have a great night. Have a blessed week.
You've been building your life, stealing from people you hurt by design. You've been trying to change time, playing the victims, what keeps you alive? Why are you